Welcome to Gamers Overdrive Retro Mode. Kick back and relax while I blast you back in time and guide you down a pixelated, coin-operated, button-mashing memory lane paved with joysticks, consoles, and dusty old cartridges. Where good guys are always good guys, bad guys are always bad guys, and the fate of the universe lies in your hands. Time to kick it into Overdrive Retro Mode. Insert coin to play.
Oh, hey everybody, and welcome back to Gamers Overdrive Retro Mode. I was just playing Street Fighter and pretending not to notice that you were watching. Today is a very special episode because we're talking about one of my all-time favorite game series, Street Fighter 2. Now, I call it Street Fighter 2 because there was an original game released in 1987 called Street Fighter, and nobody ever talks about it, and there's a good reason. It's a horrible, horrible game. It's really hard to play. The mechanics don't make any sense. It was originally an arcade machine that had really huge buttons that you could like pound and punch and beat, and that's kind of cool, I guess. But the game itself was terrible, so it was never very popular. But Capcom, who created the game, went on to make a game called Final Fight, and they had huge success with that game. So they decided to take another look at the Street Fighter series, and they went back and they fixed everything that was wrong with it. And they did such a good job with that they have created the most improved game franchise ever. Street Fighter 2 is, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it, one of the best games ever. Now, there are so many games in this series I've played, and I own every single one of them. I'm an enormous fan of the Street Fighter universe. Again, just like the Pac-Man world, it's very iconic. HADOKEN is one of the most popular video game sound bites that you can hear. The game is really simple. It's one-on-one fighting, and the original game, Street Fighter 2, was released in arcades in 1991. So I was about 9 years old when it came out, and I do remember seeing it for the first time in a bowling alley. Instantly it draws your eyes to it, and it's just such an easy game to play. So even if you don't know how it works really, you can figure out the basic moves relatively quickly. There are 3 punches and 3 kicks, so you have a light, medium, and strong punch, a light, medium, and hard kick. And you can put those together to make combinations to fight your opponent, and it's like, for me, like, I've been playing this game for so long, and I would say of all the games that I have ever played, I've probably put the most hours into Street Fighter, in the Street Fighter, various iterations of Street Fighter. And that's another thing that's crazy about Street Fighter. It has had so many incremental updates, probably more than any other franchise in video game history. So Street Fighter 2 was in 1991. That followed up with Street Fighter Champion Edition, which let you play as the boss characters from the first version. And then they made the Turbo Edition, which made everything faster. Then they made Super Street Fighter. They made Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And that's all before they even had an official, sequel in the series, like a 3. So a Part 3 didn't come until many years later. And then Part 3 had its own iterations. You have second Double Impact, Second Impact, and Third Strike. And so yeah, there's so many games in the series, but Street Fighter 2 is the one I'm talking about today. It's just, it's the one that I think really cemented itself in the video game universe as just not only the most improved game ever, because as I said, Part 1 stunk. It was terrible. Just a total crap game. But it's the most improved video game franchise ever, and it's one that you can go back to today and play, and it's just as good as it was the first time that you play it. It's so fun. Now, if you don't like fighting games, maybe you're just not interested in the fighting game genre, that's totally understandable. It's not for everybody, but I think in the original 8-character lineup in Street Fighter 2, there's a character for everybody. So the one on my shirt here, this is Ryu, or Ryu, depending on how you pronounce it. He's the kind of the standard go-to guy, and he has a counterpart called Ken. Ken and Ryu in the original game were kind of identical, But they developed, you know, in each increment they got their own little differences here and there. So Ryu became stronger, and his fireball move was like stronger. And then Ken became faster, and his uppercut move became more powerful. Now it's weird because Japan, this is a Japanese game from Capcom, and amazing developer, by the way. And they released it in Japan with a set of names. And when it came over to the US, they had to change some of those names for legal reasons. One of the names that they had to change was the name of the final boss. Now, the final boss's name in Japan was Vega. Now, there's a kind of a sub-boss who's a boxer who looks strikingly similar, like eerily similar to a certain boxer from the 80s by the name of Mike Tyson. He's like a spitting image of Mike Tyson, who was a personal childhood hero of mine. And he looked so much like him that when they shipped the game, the character's name was M. Bison. So the character that looked just like Mike Tyson, his name was M. Bison. So they had to, obviously for legal reasons, they had to change that. And so they put M. Bison's name on the final bad guy, who was originally called Vega. And then they switched his name over to the Spanish character with the claw. Anyway, they had to do a little readjustment here and there, but yeah, interesting little factoid for you. Anyway, the game is so good, and I'm talking about vanilla Street Fighter 2. You know, you don't have to go too deep into the other iterations. So vanilla Street Fighter 2 is such a good, solid game. It's a little bit slow if you're used to the faster, modern games, and of course, you can just play one of the newer Street Fighters if you wanted that faster feel. But I would say that just as a core, as a base game, Street Fighter 2 is so solid, so fun, and it's just my go-to recreational activity. I have it on every single console that I own. I have Street Fighter and all of its iterations on it. I play it all the time, and I should be a lot better at it than I am for somebody who plays as often as I do, but I just love it. You know, when everybody's, you know, people have their recreational activities that they do. They get together, they play dominoes or they play cards. I play Street Fighter. That's just what I do to have fun. It's my thing. I love it, and I'm going to show you today just a little gameplay from the original Street Fighter 2, which I highly recommend everybody download. Anywhere you look for it, it's available like on every console, anything that you might have to play games, you can find Street Fighter 2. So definitely download it. It's amazing. I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to show you again kind of a segue. So if you're not really into the modern Street Fighter 5 is the most recent one, and it's a nice game. It's great graphics. It's got horrible loading times. Hopefully that will be fixed when the PS5 comes out. But if you want to play like the classic Street Fighter but with a new coat of paint and a more accessible version of it, I have something else that I'm going to show you. That's kind of a nice midway point. So here we go. Let's get ready. Street Fighter 2 in 3, 2, 1. HADOKEN! Alright, so here I am in the Reset Collection app. I got this on the Google Play Store. If you have a lot of ROMs, which I do, this is the perfect app for you. It puts them all in a nice kind of a library, and you can download box art and even video screen captures of the gameplay. It's really amazing. They did a great job with the app. Now what you're seeing here is Street Fighter 1, the original Street Fighter. This is the one that you want to stay away from. Don't let those visuals fool you. This game stinks. Play it for more than 2 seconds and you're going to want to rip your hair out. So don't even waste your time. Okay, if you're curious, just play it for 2 seconds and you'll see what I mean. So I'm skipping over. Here's Alpha 3. Amazing. That's probably my favorite in the entire series. I love Alpha 3. Over here is EX Plus. That's when they decided to go polygonal and 3D. And this is Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. And then this is the star of the show, Street Fighter 2. So I'm going to play a little bit and show you what it's all about. Now I'm playing this in a MAME emulator, and MAME is focused on arcade games. So this is the original arcade game. It's not a home console version. Alright, so let's get started. Oh, that's the classic intro screen. And Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior. here we go. Alright, so as you see, these are the 8 original characters. We have Ryu, E Honda, my personal favorite, Blanca, the weirdo from the Amazon River. We have Guile, the All-American, Ken, the other All-American, who's really just a clone of Ryu, but faster. Chun-Li, she's a cop from China, and her dad got kidnapped, and something like that. We have, oh, and you see, if you take too long, it just chooses a player for you. Luckily, I know how to use everybody. So I'm Chun-Li, and I'm about to destroy Ryu over here. So just watch, and hopefully I don't lose, because that would be really embarrassing, wouldn't it? So I use, Chun-Li is a great card. It's a spinning bird kick, yeah. It's called the spinning bird kick, I don't know why. But it's flashy, but it's not really good. Now Chun-Li's best move in the entire game is this. Look at that, it's the rapid kick. Now I'm probably gonna win, yeah, okay, there we go. So yeah, Chun-Li has that rapid kick, and the other character who has a similar move is E Honda. E Honda has a rapid punch, or a slap. Look at these graphics, beautiful. It still looks good today, even all these years later. This is 1991 that you're looking at, and this is running on the CPS-1 board, which is Capcom's first 2D fighting board. They also use this for Final Fight, and because of that, the sound is the sound chip on this board is not so great, but still, this game has one of the best soundtracks gaming history. It's amazing, really. Every character's stage music is just a banger. I would recommend downloading the soundtrack. It's amazing. And the best one is Guile's music, and Guile's music goes with everything. Don't forget that. Fight Blanca now. We went all the way to Brazil just to fight this mutant here, and yeah, Blanca is also he's similar to Chun-Li in that if you tap the buttons very quickly, he does his super move, which is electricity. And so where Chun-Li would do the rapid kick, he does, his whole body becomes electricity and he shocks you. It's a defensive move. He's more of a defensive player. And Chun-Li, I would say, is more of an offensive player. So yeah, this is, I just love the sprite work in this game. I love the graphics. I love the music. The gameplay is so tight. It's just, and it's not an easy game really. If you're playing on the arcade settings, it's set to like a higher difficulty level than a home console version would be. And it's tough. It's a tough look. He beat me. It's not an easy game really, especially if you're used to playing the newer Street Fighters. The newer ones are, they've improved the gameplay in lots of different ways. So this is, even though this is such a solid and tight game, they've made minor improvements over the years to the combo system, and just to look at how much damage like a regular move does. These matches never last long. The power bars just disappear, and he's gonna probably he beat me with the electricity. But yeah, so this is Street Fighter 2. It's beautiful. It's easy to play. It's the story is kind of cool. And it's very arcade. You know, it has that arcade, true arcade feel. Look at this. That even the numbers counting down, it just looks so iconically arcade. And you get to travel the world and visit all of these stereotypical characters from their stereotypical homelands. It's great. So look, if I were to choose the man, Ryu himself, I can show you. I'll just shoot off a couple of fireballs, and then I'm going to show you what I was mentioning earlier, which is if this is too old school for you, you can have the same great gameplay with a few adjustments that tightened it up a little bit, and with much better, more polished and shiny HD graphics. I think these are great. I love pixel art, but look at that. I just destroyed him. Ryu is the man. He's the best. You're the best, Ryu. Anyway, so I'm going to show you that little bridge if you wanted something a little bit more modern, a little bit shinier, but that still keeps this classic, awesome gameplay. Here it is. In 3, 2, 1. Alright, so what you're looking at here is a Nintendo Switch game called Ultra Street Fighter 2. This was also released on PlayStation 3 and Xbox back in the, I think it was 2009. Could have been 2008. But this is an updated version of that. So what this does is it takes Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which a lot of people believe is the best version of Street Fighter, and it puts a crazy shiny coat of paint on it. So everything is redrawn in HD, and the sound is all redone, so it's a brand new remastered soundtrack. And the gameplay, though, amazingly, is identical. So they've kept the exact same gameplay with a few tiny tweaks here to balance. And they threw a couple of extra characters in there. So there's like an evil Ryu, and I think his name is Dark Ken. So let me take a look at the character select screen in a minute. It doesn't show it there. But this game is so fun. I play this all the time on my Switch. And I also play it on my PS3, the older version. I just really love it. I think I love when developers do this, when they find a way to make, an old game new again without changing too much. So again, this is Street Fighter, Ultra Street Fighter 2 on Nintendo Switch. It's amazing. If you have a Nintendo Switch, I would highly recommend getting it. If not, you can't go wrong with Street Fighter 2. As I said, it's one of the best games of all time. Please download it in any form that you can. And that's it for this show, guys. So this has been really an amazingly fun time for me. I love this game, and I'm so happy that I got a chance to do a show on it. So thank you for joining me on Gamers Overdrive Retro Mode, and I will see you next time. HADOKEN!